If you're a graphic designer and wondering whether you could use Blender in your workflow, I'm going to show you a simple way to add it to your workflow and hopefully demonstrate how you could quickly create renders rather than taking forever. Now, I'm not going to go in depth into every little step, but this is going to give you an insight into a quick process that you can use to start creating mock-up renders inside of Blender. First, if you don't know who I am, my name is Hunter. I'm a graphic designer who turned to 3D in about 2022. And so I've been using Blender for it's about 6 years now, because I learnt Blender early on and quit it and then decided to get back into it. And I was working for a graphic design company as just doing work experience, and he was having a lot of trouble getting a client to approve his vision. And so what I did is I just piped up and said, what if I do it in 3D? And I didn't know how to do it at the time. And so I went home and I was I think it was nearly a week trying to learn how to do it. And then I come out with these renders that I could use to give to the client and the designer. And so we worked on them back and forth, and I was trying to get the effects right, and we come up with something semi-realistic, and I was pretty happy with it. Now I'd probably look back and not so good, but then I was happy with it. And he sent it off to the clients, and they finally approved the spot gloss and the foiling effects that he was trying to sell to them for these wine labels. And so he was able to go through to production, and also he was able to charge extra for these renders. So paid me $400, and then he also put his rate on top. I'm guessing here, but I think it was on $70 an hour. So you can imagine if he added $45 on the hours that I spent and he paid me $400, you can imagine how much money you can sort of make. And this can be embedded into an existing process. I always get the question, what about AI? And I'm still finding that AI is creating hallucinations. So as a graphic designer, if I go to a premium client and I get a label and I want to put it on a bottle, they want the bottle to look perfect. And so if I've got a very, very detailed label and I try to use AI to put it on the bottle, it does these little weird things. And it feels like since AI's come into the picture, everyone's lost the standard that we used to have for nitpicking and making sure everything was perfect. It seems like we're just sort of pushing out as many images as possible over trying to get it right. But I know clients still want, and especially if you're working with another designer, they still want their renders and the images to look really good. The second one is the ability to animate it. So we can adjust this and tweak this and position this, relight it, we can update the labels, and then we can animate it and give them a social media animation, whether it be for ads, billboards, just social media, or their website. And so there's a lot of extra benefits that you can benefit from. So I'm going to jump in and actually give you an example with some cans. We're just going to create one render. You can create many from the one, but I want to show you how quick you can get your process if you choose to learn how to do this. So let's jump into Blender. Just quickly, I am building a complete course to show you how to do this inside of Blender. So it'll teach you the skill set of how to actually create realistic packaging renders, realistic papers, realistic foils, embossing, debossing, how to have full control over it for your personal projects and also your client projects to create your own mockups, not using the generic Photoshop mockups, you're creating your own. And then the second part of the system is all about how to actually include this into your sales process and charge upwards of 500 or more per packaging project. And then also the workflow behind it, how to do this quickly, how to save assets so you can reuse them quickly, and how to templatize this so that it's not a big load on you. This is currently going to be a pre-order. So as soon as I hit 30 students, I will start recording the course. Each chapter will be released 2 weeks after the previous one. And if it doesn't hit 30 students, everyone will get a refund. And also, if you don't get the results in 60 days of joining, you don't get any benefit out of joining it, there's a full refund. So I've taken all the risk out of this. So if you're a graphic designer and you want to learn how to do this, drop down, join the waitlist below. Let's jump back into the tutorial. All right, so the first thing is I'm starting to build out all these assets I can use, and I can organize them down the side. So I'm still building this. If you join my upcoming program, you'll get access to this, plus everything that I create. So everything that I model from the future, I will be updating this monthly. So if you're a graphic designer and you just want drag and drop templates, this is it. So I've got a can model here, and the beauty about these ones is you can drag and drop them from the asset browser directly in Blender. And we can jump over to the UV editor. And you can see here we've got this map. Now you can picture this like a die line. So it's the can all ripped apart and laid out flat. And that means we can actually stick a texture onto this. So right now, using Affinity, we've got a texture of our can here. And so what I can do is I'm going to jump back into Blender, and this is where we can start creating our render. So what I would do is switch this into rendered view here, and we jump across to the shader view. Now, you can get way more complex with this, and I recommend learning how to create materials properly. But overall, we can keep it quite simple. We can bring in our image, just click and drag and drop it into the shader view, and we can plug that into the base color, and that's our color coming through. Now, a few notes on this. The best color management for actually doing sRGB images is Chronos PBR. It's built to be most accurate for this stuff. So there we go. So we can rename this to our label, and then we can tweak some of the materials. So this is going to be quite a metallic material, and then I just reduce the roughness a little bit because I want this to have a bit of a metallic sheen to it. And you can pick and choose what you would like here. So then the next thing I sort of like to do is actually add some grunge and grunge it up, add some effects to it, because cans aren't always perfect. So I've got this tool, Grayscale Gorilla. It's a subscription, but super, super high quality stuff, especially for packaging and product rendering. Absolutely love their textures. So you can grab a smudge texture and you just copy it. We can go Shift A, search image. We'll put in an image texture here. Open that, and you can just paste in the directory here, and then just click on the smudges JPEG here. So now we've got the smudges in. Now what we're going to do is change the sRGB to non-color, and we'll plug this into the roughness. Now what you'll notice is roughness by default is sort of sits at this 0.5 level, and this is medium roughness. So if I take the color here and plug that straight into the roughness, what you'll notice is it's super strong. So what I can do is if I take that mid level, I can mix the smudge texture against the mid level and sort of drown out the smudges a bit more. So we'll search for a mix node. This will be a mix color node here. Plug that in, and we're mixing against a factor of 0.5, and we can do it something like this. We can increase this so that we've got more roughness. And if you control shift click this is what it's looking like here. And so we can increase or decrease the factor. As we increase it, these smudges will be reduced here. So we can just sort of tune this in as we see fit and work it out. All right. The next thing is we want to sort of separate the two materials. So we've got another one up here. We want this one to be the metallic top. So we'll just call this one metallic. And I'll delete this, and we actually have a dedicated metallic material. So Shift A, metallic. And I just find this one works a little bit better in Blender. So there you go. I'm going to just reduce the saturation out of this so that we're getting this color. And we're looking at this one here. And so we can increase or reduce the roughness. We're probably going to increase a little bit. You can do the anisotrophy, which this one is like, if you see the end of brass and you see it do like the hourglass shape off the end, that's what that is. It's probably hard to explain. Yeah. And so then we have this. So that's pretty nice setup. And if you wanted to sort of work on the can as well, this texture here, what we can do is start to select some of this. So what I would usually do is actually divide these two. So you can just alt click these loops here. You could start from the center here. So if we start from the center, Control plus, and we just go out from here, you can see there that I can select that. We want to add a new slot. So this is another material slot, and hit assign. And then we can put that metallic layer on it. So now we've got the metallic. Now I want to get the label from here, the smudges, sorry. Control C, bring it back over to the metallic here, Control V, and we plug that into the roughness there. And so we should start getting some of that texture back. And then we'll do the same for this one. This one's a little bit more complicated. So we'll just try to sort of select the inner edge up in there. Give it a go. I'll fix these models up so that they're really nice for you to use. And you don't have to stuff around with this. No one wants to do that. Alright. Whoops. Let's undo. And we'll see if we can select linked. I can never find this. Select similar. Select loops. Select inner region. There we go. And then we'll jump to the metallic here and assign it to here. So now what you'll notice is the metallic texture is separated from the other texture. So if I adjust the color of this, you can see what's happening now. We're getting... I do not know what's going on here. It like alternated every selection. Let's see if we can... I reckon there's some bugs. Undo. I'm going to select the inner regions of this and see if I can fix it. Oops. Can't go back with this guy. It's annoying. Select the inner region. Do this. See, right click, assign. And I just want to grab these two. So these guys can go back to the label. Alright, so now we've got them working separately. So we can change the tint and things like that. You can see how this sort of works. And you can see how we can adjust this. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I will actually create an array. So I want to join these two together so that I've got the little thing on top. So Control J. We'll rotate this by 90 negative so that it's laying down flat. We can start to position the camera too. What I would usually do is something... Apparently I've got the old camera. So usually I would have... What you can do is Shift A, add an empty. And if you get this empty and you get your camera, you can go constraints, track to, and you can track to the empty. I think something's just broken in the latest version. Look through the camera and we can come up here. Let's scale the camera down so it's more on par with the scene scale. And then you can just position this guy into position. Like something like this. You can also right click, shift right click to put the 3D cursor on the point. and then Shift S and go up to selection to cursor, and then it'll move it. Now we can grab this guy and target that center. And we want some light, so Shift A, add some lights in, just some big lights, put one on either side and face them towards your render here. And you can put one on the other side here. Like so. We can change the spread of this one so it's a little bit more powerful if we wanted. And obviously you can play a lot more around with lighting. So what I want to do now is add an array modifier to this. So add array, and you've got this. Then you want to expand the array out. We can change the vertical or the Y offset. Remember, it has been rotated. So we'll change that to 0.5. So we're going up by half. Now we're going to add in a new array modifier. We're going to change this one to the offset. And we'll change the translation back to 0. And then we'll change the Y. You can see there the Y now is separating. So let's go to the top view. You can hold down Shift here and just get it so that it's fairly close to each other. Bump this up, grab the array and just go G. And this is top view, so make sure you're looking on top view. All right, let's go here to camera. We're going to cross out the focal distance and I'll just eyedropper that. We can drop the focal range down if you wanted. And what I want to do is just get some more power into some of these lights to boost the overall scene. This one I want to make nice and big, and we'll get some more power into it as well. 15. Oh, we can save this project too by accident. Happy accidents. And I'll stick it in here. Save. And so I'm just going to go F12 to render this bad boy. And there you go. So that roughly is 20 minutes. So if you learnt Blender and learn how to do this, you could do this fairly quickly. And then you can iterate on this. And if the client, obviously you'd tweak this a bit more to get the composition, get the thing, the center can in the center and things like that. But say the client wants a different composition, they want a different type of render. This has a lot more control, a lot more art direction. And I'm going to teach you how to do all of this specifically for packaging rendering and how to upsell this as well as the workflow so that you can learn how to do this quickly like I've just done in the course that's coming below. So we need 30 members and then I'll build it. If you join and it doesn't hit 30 members and I decide not to build it, you'll get full refund. Full refund. If you join and you don't get any benefit from it within 60 days of doing the course, so you don't learn anything Blender, you're not able to upsell this to your clients, or it doesn't add any benefit to your business, then there's a no questions asked policy. So we've removed all risk out of it for you. So if you're interested, jump down to the description below and sign up for the waitlist and you'll get a super secret extra bonus. Well, it's not really a secret, it's to do with animation. All right, I'll see you in the next video.